Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You wanna get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river Thames, if you wanna go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
And I'm Shannon Newth.
And we're
No Damn Experts.
Today on this podcast, we are honored with the presence of true artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot say enough, and I will probably say it more times than they want to hear it on this podcast, how immensely talented these artists are in the way they can create works of art over an entire freaking building.
Huge space, short amount of time.
And it actually looks like
What it's intended to look like. Yeah.
So welcome to the podcast, Ryan and Phasm.
Thank
Yes.
God-given name over there, I'm assuming.
No.
But
No,
that's all
okay.
we need people to know.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Yes, right. Came by
Hey,
that one naturally.
You don't
yeah.
you can lie as much as you want on this podcast. I have done it a number of times.
That's true. She has.
And
She
I
makes
still-
claims about things and we just go with it until we are proven
yeah.
otherwise.
And then we bring in actual experts and they're like, "No, that's correct." And I'm like,
And
"You're
then she
kidding
feels
me.
really good about herself.
I thought I just made that up."
So that's how she rolls. Okay, so
And
ArtsFest.
these two artists are here creating murals in our community, and this is the fourth year we've had a mural festival where art is being created on the side of buildings. And last year we added some canvas art as well. And if I'm not mistaken, you both have been here for almost the duration of the creation of this event, right?
Yeah,
Wrong.
I think. What year did you come here?
So I've been here 3 years.
Okay,
Oh.
third year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was here in 2020,
Okay.
and I'm back this year.
Oh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. And tell us about this process. You're not from here, correct? Neither one of you?
No.
Correct.
We don't know anything that's going on. And you just show up in our town. How does that happen?
How
do
did you get here? Yeah.
Yeah. How on earth do you end up in Great Falls creating murals?
That's what I wonder.
Yeah. So it started
gotta
when
be
we met a
someone.
guy named Cameron Moberg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where.
There's the
Cameron One is
culprit.
his given name.
Yeah.
His Instagram handle is his given name. Yeah.
His surname.
Yep.
Yeah. So how did you get connected?
So you knew him from the mean streets of...
So I've known him a lot longer. I've known him since around 2000. And we've been really close since then. Both full-time mural artists. He lives in San Francisco. I live in Modesto, California. And
So neighbors.
yeah.
Comparatively.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we've just done a lot of projects over the years together. He's, had me help him on projects. I've had him help me on projects. Did I say that correctly?
Yep, I think so.
There's mutual help happening.
Yes, thank you. Should have had that other cup of coffee.
Yeah. Rebecca
you
had
screwed
enough
up.
for all of us. Yeah.
And Ryan, where are you from? Or
So
California?
no, I'm not from California. I am from right in between Indianapolis and Chicago, a place called Rensselaer, Indiana.
Okay.
And I met Cameron because one of my fellow business owner friends in Rensselaer wrote a grant to get a mural painted on their building. They really wanted a mural on their building. And the people helping us with the grant saw Cameron on a show called Street Art Throwdown.
Oh.
And they,
I wanna watch that show.
It's an awesome show.
That sounds fun.
We won't spoil anything for you. But he was on that show, just trying to throw something out there, and he responded, and we're like, all right, cool. And the first message back was, hey, I think I want to bring my family. Is that cool with you guys? And we're like, well, this is either gonna be awesome or this is gonna be
Go
terrible?
on a two ways. Yeah.
So and it was wonderful. You know, we hung out and his kids had never seen fireflies before, stuff like that. I mean, just
wow.
things,
fireflies.
and it was just awesome. And then after that, we started talking about more and more murals, and we started a mural festival out there. Now, fast forward 7 years later, a town of 6,000, we have over 50 murals.
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
that's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Have you created a mural at his town?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
They're all
figured that
get
was going to be
roped
the
into all of
answer.
these
Yep.
communities with it. Yeah.
So, Ryan, are you a full-time street artist?
So no. Yeah.
I'm curious. Okay, I'm curious
at
the day job here.
Yeah, at the time, I was an art teacher when I met Cameron.
Oh.
So I did that for a few years. My wife and I were both art teachers. We've since left that profession, and I'm a full-time contractor. And I still make some pottery on the side. I build custom tables. So yeah, very art involved, and I can paint. But not like these guys.
I saw some of your work last night.
Oh, thank you.
So then tell us your role here then in ArtsFest. If you're
So-
saying you're not painting, what is your role?
I come in and I help the artists with large fill-ins. I run the paint sprayer and wall prep if something needs scraped, if something needs sealed beforehand. Just getting things ready for them. I'm doing a lot of background stuff, running materials, logistics, so that
He is invaluable.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. He is just like,
It's safe to say all the artwork that has been created that still looks good is because of Ryan.
yeah. I mean, especially in the time that it's done.
Yeah.
Like he's out there priming the walls before, and then he
Oh,
comes
wow.
in.
I didn't even think about that part.
Yeah, and afterwards, starting today, he's going to start doing the clear coats on them.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is-
I did not think about the priming and sealing aspect of that.
Yep. So yeah, everybody always asks, how long are these going to last?
Hopefully this
Depends
top
on
layer
how we
will do a
take care
good
of them.
job.
Yeah, depends on how we take care of them. So it's a UV protectant, and it's a non-sacrificial anti-graffiti coating. So should you have some vandalism on top of these,
Don't
it
do
can
it.
be taken. It's not going to work. So just don't do it.
Yeah.
We've been
falls
pretty
right
You
off.
just put out a
lucky.
challenge, right?
Yeah, I know. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not, it won't work. It won't work.
But it washes right off, and it was tested in our town. And I was really concerned about it, but that was amazing how well it worked. So yeah,
That's great.
That's kind of
Good.
I do a lot of different things. Run safety, build platforms for the lifts to work properly, because sometimes the alleyways and the roads and stuff aren't as flat as you think they are. Like when you really start looking
smooth.
at
And
it.
it's the older part of town typically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
And you definitely had a lift for yours.
Yeah.
You were high up for yours. Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 3 stories. Is my guess?
no, that one's 4 or 5.
Wow. Yeah.
Probably 4.
Definitely needed
Probably
a good
4.
operating lift
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're done with your mural for
Yep.
this year.
Yep.
You just did the one.
Mm-hmm.
And you did how many last year? Just one? Or you did some collab ones as well?
Last year, I just did one. I did the grizzly bear by the bank there.
Okay.
And then the year before that, did the tiger, the purple tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also, that year, we did a big collab wall over on the dance studio by Sip and Dip.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one's neat.
Yeah, and I did a bighorn sheep up at the top.
Yeah.
So, how does one become a full-time street artist?
Well, when I was 5, no, I'm just kidding.
Ooh, this goes back a long way. Yeah.
I was always drawing and it's going to be a different story for every artist, but
Right.
I was always drawing, and then in high school got into tagging illegally,
Oh,
and
Oh, so the problems we were just talking about. Yeah.
don't do it.
You're like, he's tested it out. Don't do it. Yeah.
So I did illegal graffiti for about 5 years, and then just as I kind of a natural progression of people asking me to paint stuff for them, and then slowly charging a little bit more and more. And most of my life I've done graphic design as my 9 to 5 to support family and all that stuff. So but yeah, in the last about 5 years I've been doing it full time.
do you get a lot of people who are like, oh, this is a beautiful piece of work, but I would do it this way, or you should add this?
All the time.
Do you just want to slap them in their face, or are you kind and be like, that is a great suggestion.
Or
You
is
should
that
try that on your own.
An evolving response. Yeah.
There's an internal response. and
Yes,
there's
yeah.
one that actually
internal-
comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I will say, well, you should practice art and get to a point where you can do
it.
that. Because I've been doing it for 30 years and I still have tons of ideas that I haven't gotten out of my head yet.
Yeah.
So you're just adding more that I don't like.
Don't you love when the people who,
I'm
terrible. I'm a terrible artist.
I've never done it to an actual artist. And that's a wrong way to say this as I follow up. I've done it to graphic designers who are actual artists as well and be like, I need you to move it over here, or I think it should be like this. But I would
Like
never do it to
feedback.
someone who's creating their own personal work of art, which
There's
I
a
think
big,
is kind of ballsy myself.
well, they are connected, but there's a big gray area in between there. And even some mural artists want somebody else's ideas, especially if they're getting paid for it. And then there's other artists who are like, you're not telling me anything, and if you don't give me all creative license, I'm out. Like,
Yeah, I can't. I wouldn't do well in that field.
No.
First, I can't draw worth crap.
That's the
Second,
first part. Yeah.
Did we mention this is all being done with cans of spray paint?
Just incredible. Yeah.
The detail. I mean, that's got to take years of perfection.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
like as somebody who's just, I come from a
Spray paint
spray
painting
paint.
world.
Yeah, like
Background, yeah.
I painted things with, hardware store paint. Yeah, but just one color. And so now learning some of the techniques and things like that and just getting into it and being involved with these guys in a few different places. It takes some time. Yeah.
And so when you were an art teacher, I'm curious, were you already in the street painting realm did you teach your students anything about how to paint that way?
So public work, spray paint, you're supposed to be over, 16 or 18?
Oh.
How old are you supposed to be to buy spray paint now?
I don't know. I forgot that
you're
was
there.
I had
forgot that
no-
was
Am I
a
old
thing.
enough? Yeah, I made it.
I didn't know there were rules against
Yeah,
it.
I did. I was like, oh, that's a
So
thing.
some
Okay.
of that, and then like some of the safety stuff, like painting inside, a respirator,
Yeah.
stuff like that. There's more involved things with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are other products, but to stay somewhat on topic, public works. So not inside the gallery, public
Mm-hmm.
works at large scale were trending when I was teaching and,
Okay.
and
Okay.
really becoming, more of a thing that a lot of cities were getting involved with. And I started to teach that. And then especially once we got our first mural in the town, then that became a part of my curriculum and educating the kids on what that was doing and explaining that to them and then being able to see actually some of the positive impacts from murals being in our town was very cool, just to be able to watch it change the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious then, because someone who lives here, and I used to live downtown, I love seeing all of the art that's being created and just the color, the vibrancy, the creativity that it brings to an already kind of architecturally neat area of our town. What do you see, both of you, kind of the value of adding these murals to a community?
You can
So
tell she's
yeah.
the actual reporter here, right?
Yeah,
you
right.
come from a couple different
Yeah,
spots.
so-
'Cause you can talk about Modesto maybe and what that's done for them. So the town that we're in, 6,000 people, and it was more. There was a college there, closed 5-6 years ago. And I graduated from there. They still make me pay back my loans, but
That
Bunch
should
of
just go
crap.
away, right?
but
Yeah.
this town was totally attached and dependent upon this college. And with that closing, it's like, oh man. And now we have all this artwork coming in and seeing, the kids that I was teaching kind of take pride in what they were doing because, we do the community workshops and stuff and they get to paint with these artists side by side and involve them. Well, hey, I painted on that wall. Now they get to own their city. Even though they don't own the building, they get to own part of that. And seeing that change at that age I think is awesome because, you know, everybody's like, oh man, this place is terrible. I want to get out. I want to get out.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
that kind of mindset
Yeah, I mean, like
when
that's
you're younger.
that's like the
yeah.
you know, it's a typical like junior
Teenager.
high teenager
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so much better everywhere else. Yeah.
I got to get out of
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, those were totally the spark of people wanting to be in downtown and start businesses and be entrepreneurs.
That's cool.
So yeah, it totally changed the attitude, and we went from having like a non-walkable downtown, like you never saw anybody. There's boarded up stuff, just in kind of small towns are dying kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we've seen quite a revitalization. Now we've got 4 coffee shops and all kinds of restaurants and downtown businesses, boutiques that are moving in. It's really
That's so exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, and I would say it's definitely
It's all because
as
of the
a
art.
business
Yeah.
owner in that town, I can say that it's the murals that were
You
the
see
spark of
that
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
I mean,
And-
it's also it takes a person and a couple of business owners to commit to that
For sure.
and push it.
The
But
foresight of,
Yeah.
of saying like, hey, I'm going to spend some money to invest in this mural festival, and it's going to pay down the road in like the vibrancy and the new identity of this place.
Well, I've even seen places, not in this town, but it could happen in this town, where you have these outdoor dining areas and in between buildings, like where a vacant building had been, and it's all murals alongside the road, creates that space where otherwise it would feel gross. Like you'd feel like you're in an alley
sure.
eating.
Like at the art show last night.
No, I really like that
No,
menu.
I do too.
But you can add that dimension
Yeah.
to a space that would have normally felt like some weird back alley deal. Still that situation, but
But
now
it's inviting.
It
It feels like you're supposed to
so
be
you
there.
can sit there, you can have dinner, and it's a really nice space. So I think it transforms without having to put up extra walls in a way that nobody really expects.
It totally transforms, and maybe there's not a courtyard there at that time. I've seen multiple places that they get a mural and it's gone from a parking lot to a city park where they put in landscaping and things like that, and they make that mural the theme of the park. I saw that in Fowler, Indiana. And again, with Cameron's first mural in Rensselaer, that's now a craft bar bistro with a huge outdoor patio.
wow.
Before it was, a really dilapidated parking lot because it was a converted service station. So, yeah.
So, is there any competition or trash talking between the artists simply because?
Not in
No.
our group.
No.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it exists out there.
Sure.
But we're all pretty tight.
Yeah, and so Cameron curates this. I curate a mural festival in my hometown of Modesto, California, as well. Curator / artist liaison. We speak artist, so and
Which is helpful.
Yeah,
honestly,
it
our
is.
job is to protect the artist as well. And like for me, my goal is to make the artist fall in love with the town, and also the town kind of fall in love with the artist, and just like they have their favorite musician, to kind of have like, oh, we've got to get such and such artist out next year because they're my favorite, and most people don't have a favorite mural artist. I mean,
That needs to
Yeah.
change.
yeah.
And there's momentum for that too.
Yeah.
You see that, and even here we're getting this it's multi-year event now.
So we hinted to the weird event that happened in the alley last night.
Right.
Which when
What
you
was
first
that?
hear,
Yeah.
when you first hear, we'd like to do an event and we're going to do it in this alley behind this building. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's not weird at all. That sounds safe and fun." But honestly, last year was the first year for this artist reception in our town, ticketed event. And at this event, you get the mural artists that are here at the Mural Festival creating works of art on a canvas that you can then put in your space. Because not all murals fit into a building.
No, on the building.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe you see one that you're like, I really like that artist's work, but I have to walk across town. It's not close to where I live.
Right. And so I don't know if other communities have done this. I'm just going to claim ours did it for the first time, and it's an amazing idea where we have this artist reception. They're creating live works of art while you're there, eating, socializing, drinking. And as Joan told me, when they're in the zone, don't talk to them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I'm going to stay away.
Don't bother.
But you guys are creating art within an hour or two that then we auction off, which is like really fun.
Quick draw, art in action kind of event.
Yeah. And last year was the first year for us. You created a sheep goat that was absolutely amazing.
I'm so glad that you don't know what it is.
I remember it's white.
Because,
Is it something
the white
entirely different?
mountain
goat
sheep
Yeah.
thing, I don't know what it is.
I think it was a mountain.
I think
goat.
the mountain goat is white
open
during
to
the winter,
interpretation?
and it's gray during the summer.
But
when
I
it's
also
cold.
then
So it's a
don't.
mountain
Right.
goat.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, unless it's the big
They're the
horn
ones
sheep.
that scale like in
Yeah.
Yeah, they go
Yellowstone
way
And it had,
Glacier.
yeah.
it has horns that stick up like Satan,
Straight
where
up,
sheep
yeah.
has
Yeah.
the
The curl.
Yeah.
Dude, that
There
ain't
was
right.
no defining hornage, but it was absolutely stunning, and I loved it.
Thank you.
This year, you created a moose,
A moose. Yep.
and
You know that you're all in agreement that it's a moose?
yeah,
Okay.
it was pretty evident.
Yeah.
that
It was a
a
pretty
moose.
heavily requested item.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, really?
So
It was
let
a
me
purple
just
moose, so
Yeah.
let me divulge what you missed last
Yeah.
night. Our esteemed local hero, newspaper owner Jen Rao, the owner of The Electric, was adamant, and I think she's been begging. She said for 3 years for a moose.
oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And if any of you get the opportunity to meet the illustrious Jen, she's not quiet. She is very vocal. She usually gets what she wants. She's not mean about it. But last night she shows up at the artist reception. Phasm has already started the moose. She's like, it's a moose. I'm getting that moose. It is my moose. It is my moose. And I'm like,
Speak
"Wow."
it into existence.
So I just kind of looked at her jokingly, which don't do this when it comes to this artwork. I said, well, I think I'm going to bid on it. She's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, okay.
Don't
I
tell me
was
what to
just
do.
joking.
Yeah.
So for all of our listeners, Phasm, did Jen get the moose?
She did get the moose.
Oh,
Isn't
her
that
dreams
such a
came
sweet-
true.
Isn't that-
And for you get someone who was like really, really wanting this piece of art from
no,
you.
I definitely wanted her to get it. Yeah.
Did she provide any creative input on what she wanted to see in the moose?
Oh no, she didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, good.
Oh.
No.
When she showed up, she was kind. I
No.
didn't see her come over and go, I want the hair to be this color, the eyes to be this color. I didn't see her doing
No,
that. So
No.
That's good.
she was pretty
She
excited.
just kept hugging me and saying how happy she was that I was doing a moose and that she was
she
going to
hugging
have
you-
it.
Was she hugging you while you were painting?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's
She
quite
did not
possible.
get
think
the
I saw that,
instructions
yeah.
from Joan
not-
about
not
he's
go
in
near.
the zone.
Yeah.
Like I'm like,
She
Jen,
probably
he's-
did and
he's
just
in
didn't.
And just did not
Did
care.
not
yeah.
listen, like-
Well, you have a devoted fan then,
Yeah.
it sounds like. Maybe into your personal space.
So, but like, how that came about? What she walked up to you. You're painting the macaw, and
Oh,
and
her
she walked
her
up, she's like,
comment.
oh, that's really nice. It's not a moose, but it's nice.
Oh my gosh. You're like, no, it's not a
Yeah,
moose.
it's no moose. Yeah.
So talk to us about what you did paint on the building. It's downtown 400 block of Central and the alley behind there, Kaufman's Menswear, the building there. And this is the one we're talking about. You were up 5-6 stories high in order to
or
complete
two.
it.
You know,
Yeah,
depending on
it's
who you
depending.
talk
However
to.
Or
tall
depending on-
Kaufman's is, we
Right.
were up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
you were at varying levels of it. Yeah.
It's as big as the fish that I caught.
Yeah, right. This big, yeah. But it really is a very large bird. Tell us. So did Cameron come up and say, "Hey, you're going to paint
You're
this
going to paint
bird,"
a bird on the side of Kaufman?
or
No.
did you decide that?
No,
Okay.
I've actually painted a lot of macaws.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've painted tigers. That's kind of been my.
But you've already done one of those here.
I know.
So you had
And I was.
to pick something else. Yeah.
It's funny. I was at Cameron's house. I don't know. A couple weeks ago, and I said, yeah, I'll paint another tiger, and both him and his wife were like, no, not you. You already
No
have
more
a tiger
tigers.
there. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I'm glad that I got to do a macaw because that's probably like my second animal that I like to paint.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's got to be tough, though. I mean, you are assigned a building, basically, or do you come up with the idea of what you want to paint and then you get assigned a building? Because it's not like the Macaw was going to be able to go on
in a different spot.
one-story building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked dumb.
I actually thought I was painting a different building until we rolled into town. And,
Oh,
and
no.
Cameron and I drove here together from California.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's like,
That's a lot of
surprise, here's your building.
That's a lot of together time.
Yes, it is.
No, for him and I, it's great. It
That's
goes by really
awesome.
fast because we just talk, and we have lots to talk about. So, but yeah, when he said, yeah, you should paint that wall, yeah, the Macaw just like came to my mind. It'd be so rad to have a Macaw and it like swooping down kind of from top left to bottom right, and then diagonal lines going the opposite way to break that line. So yeah, like that's just kind of how my brain works now, is see a building and kind of envision
out.
something that's going to fit the space nice. Yeah.
There's a neat picture at nighttime up above. I'm guessing from the parking garage, maybe, that was taken looking down at nighttime. Did you do most of your painting at night, daytime? How does that change your
Was it
perspective
you or
on
was it Ryan prepping the wall?
We were together.
Oh, how sweet.
How nice then.
Dancing back and forth in a bucket. Yeah.
So I'm just curious, because with different lighting and that large, again, I'm not an artist at all. So in that large of a scale of something, are you looking at just the part, like, do you keep the whole thing in perspective, or are you just focused on that kind of square foot that you're working in at the moment?
So different artists have different ways of getting their sketch or their kind of shapes up there. I used a projector, so that's what we were doing at night. So I really only am out there at night for like the first night, getting the basic shapes down so that I can just come back the next morning and start filling in big areas of color and then go into detail later on. So others will do like a traditional grid where they'll grid out like 2 feet squares and then grid on their sketch on a paper or something like that, so they know where to stay in their certain area. There's also a new technique called Doodle Grid where you kind of just
Sounds like a dog breed.
Yeah.
Doodle.
Doodle Grid.
Yeah.
You'll just do a bunch of scribbles, or you can use painter's tape and do shapes, and then you take a photo of that, and then you super kind of like transparently superimpose it over your sketch or your reference.
Okay.
And then when you go up there, you know, if there's a squiggle S that is going across a line that you need, you know exactly where it goes.
Wow. See, that seems like again, it's all overwhelming to me because I'm a terrible artist, but that seems like one of the hardest parts is getting that initially laid out and just the proportions correct and all of that.
The whole thing seems hard
the whole,
to me.
Yes, the whole thing is overwhelming, but
Because
that seems
then-
like one of the more challenging components.
Last night at the artist reception, they're just looking at something on their phone, and then they've got a can of spray paint, and they're doing blump, 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 and it's like a moose. And I'm like, how the holy crap does that happen?
Can you, with the spray paint, can you like with a hose, a sprayer on a hose, you can tighten it or loosen it to change the trajectory of the spray?
So there are different tips
that?
on
Okay.
the
Nozzles.
spray cans.
Yeah.
Nozzles. Yeah.
Okay.
And even with like the paint sprayer that I use for big areas, I can do like a 12-inch fan all the way down to like a 3-4-inch fan.
Mm-hmm.
So getting into some tight areas, even for larger fill, and the same is true for the spray cans. You can switch, and then you can also adjust your pressure to change how it comes out of the can too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how many cans of spray paint you went through to create your Macaw?
Oh, that's a hard hitting question.
It is. It's such a hard question because I'll end up with like half cans and quarter
Gotcha.
cans that I'll use on a later project.
Okay.
And I came in with my own paint
Partly
that I
used
brought from
paint.
California.
Okay.
So those are all half cans and quarter cans. But I mean, if I was to guess, maybe like 100,
Okay.
Ooh.
150. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense that you have some that are like it's hard to tell because you're
Yeah.
using so many different colors and cans. And
Is it-
Ryan's giving a
Yeah.
pensive
What's that
look
look
over
for,
here.
Ryan?
I think that's he's lying.
He's,
I mean, I
he's
was gonna-
questioning.
I mean, you're the
Is that your
expert.
funny toothpaste that you're making that face
Yeah.
at?
Oh man.
What were you gonna say?
I mean, I was gonna guess for his mural like probably around half of that. Like
Oh,
maybe
really?
50.
I see. I thought
Yeah.
I thought it would be
You
more
might
Wait a
be
than
minute.
that.
right. Yeah, you might be right.
500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, and you know,
A
for the
lot.
blue macaw, I bought 2 different blues as a gallon, and so you look so confused.
Well, because only I've ever seen you paint with a can of spray paint. So
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a gallon of paint. What do you do with that? Like, are you filling the can?
No.
Screwing the
With-
top
Oh.
back on?
With a roller, so like
Okay.
where a lot of the feathers were like on the top were a lighter blue, I would just roll in.
Okay.
And then obviously I'm coming back with spray paint to shape the edges and shadows and highlights and stuff like that. And then the bottom half had a darker blue, so like the tail and all that was rolled first.
Okay.
And then I would come
Oh.
back. Saves a lot of time. And honestly, there's a lot of things in this form of art that is done to save time, not just because we want to get it done really fast, but it just kind of like, yeah, it helps you focus and yeah.
Were there any artists you worked with this year that you've never worked with before or got to know at this festival that were new to you?
Yeah, Charlie and John.
Lewis? Lewis and John?
I say Charlie. Just making up
It's a
names.
good name.
It's a good generic name.
Yeah.
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 Charlie. Sure.
But you'd worked with all the other ones before.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Cobra, Royal Dog, and
Senta?
Senta and Bacon.
okay. And Bacon have all painted at my mural festival
Oh.
in
Oh,
Modesto,
neat. Okay.
California. And Senta is also in my artist crew,
Okay.
as well as Cameron and Cherie.
Okay.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's got to be an honor for someone to just fawn over your works of art and be elated to get a moose. But at the same time, we know people travel to see, like they become avid followers, maybe onto the edge of stalking.
Obsessive.
But they'll travel to where you've created your art all over. Where has that happened for you? I'm assuming the answer is yes. And then where is all of your art?
Well, that's a good question.
Maybe he doesn't know. I mean,
Yeah, there's a couple.
Are there pieces you can't talk about? No.
There's a couple
In the legal realm, I guess. Yeah.
on Instagram, which I'm off social media, but there's a couple like accounts that have like crazy amounts of followers. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of followers
Okay.
that are specifically they go and travel and look for these locations.
oh wow.
And so that's kind of like an honor to have one of your murals get posted like that, because you know how many eyes are going to be on it, and you just think, man, this could turn into, you know what I mean, a couple jobs out of this or something like that.
Yeah.
But I've done quite a bit of traveling, I think. I've painted, I mean, some of this stuff is for fun. So like, you know, I still do painting for fun sometimes, like
Legal
good.
painting for
That's
fun
good.
or tagging?
yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask. Yeah.
I come from a graffiti culture, you know what I mean? I grew up in graffiti culture, and it has its own like bylaws kind of thing.
Yep.
and different stuff. So like I still go and paint with graffiti artists all the time. So I've painted in New Zealand, Australia, Guatemala, Mexico, Hawaii, Canada, a bunch, and then just tons of different states.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it a different feel when you get to just go paint with your crews just for fun versus like
Oh,
being
yeah.
commissioned to this
Yeah.
is your building and you have to do this and people are going to walk
There's
by
way
and
less pressure.
ask you
Yeah,
the
and
same
even-
question all the time.
Like the macaw that I just painted is in an alley. So like I'm not super stressed about like getting a couple drops of paint on the ground or on the roof of something.
Yeah.
But doing graffiti, and I have like an alley wall that I curate in Modesto. So like once a month at least, somebody's texting me saying, "Hey, can I paint on your wall?" It's not like I own the wall, but
You're like, sure.
I say, yeah, go paint on the right 2 spots are older, and don't paint on the right the left 2 spots are older, and don't paint on the right because those are just brand new. And painting in that kind of a setting is great because you can, you know, you're going to get paint on the floor. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go out. I mean, loud music is fine. We've even brought a little Weber barbecue out there and
Perfect.
Nice.
set up barbecue, and and it's great to have a spot like that because people will come in from different countries even, or out of state or something like that, and when they're traveling they want to paint some graffiti letters or something like that, and it's great to have a spot like that.
Do you think we'll ever have a spot like that? I mean, because we've got alleys, and eventually there's going to be the need to have some of the older art.
I don't think Great Falls quite understands graffiti culture and are very timid, and with good reason.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. There's always this fear of something like that if it comes in, then it's going to spread everywhere and willy-nilly, But I've seen certain areas where it stays as like a graffiti lettering, doesn't spread out into the tagging so much, where they're just writing their names as much. But yeah.
Gotcha. So the other ones, we talked about your Macaw. There were other ones done this time, Ryan. Maybe can you tell us some of the other paintings that were done this round for ArtsFest?
Well, maybe we can each take
Okay,
some.
sure.
I was just going to mention when you talked about the paint coming out like a fire hose. Back
I was thinking a garden hose, but same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like back in the 2000s or the 90s, I should say, I was using Rust-Oleum and Krylon from the hardware store, and it shot out like crazy. Not
much control on those.
No.
Well, you had to move really fast, or it would just drip. As soon as it hit the wall, if you slowed down,
That's
would
what
just
I
drip.
think when I think of, again, I'm terrible with these things. Spray paint, it's just drips right away.
There's new brands now that have lower pressure, and so that's helped immensely. But then you have Cobra has a very, I would say, unique to like anywhere in this whole like mural industry or whatever, where he'll take his can, flip it upside down, and empty half of the pressure. And then come back, and he can get really close and go really slow. Now it makes it a little splattery, but he uses that as well and pulls back and shades things with that splattery effect. So it's almost like a inkjet printer doing the different dots, so he could mix red and blue and make purple, but it's a different.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So out of those two, I'll talk about Royal Dog.
Wait, before you start, what mural did Cobra do?
It's the eyes.
The
wasn't
big
it?
eyes.
Oh,
yeah.
his
Those
girlfriend.
are just intriguing.
On the gymnastics.
Yeah.
What's the name of that place? Gymnastics.
Great Falls
Dance Center.
Gymnastics.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
I think so. Those ones, it just like eyes do, but
I
wow,
learned
those were incredible.
I learned last night they're his girlfriend's eyes, and he hopes
Oh.
she's not upset.
Oh, I would be flattered.
I would be too.
Yeah. Anyway.
So he paints in what I would call hyper realism.
Okay.
Things are very zoomed in, very up close.
Yeah.
And
That's very reflective. And
and so Royal Dog also paints realism, and I mean his paintings are so luminous and so controlled, but their processes are completely different.
Interesting.
To get somewhat of a similar result. I mean, they both have their own styles and
but more the realism component.
But in that realism realm, he's someone that's traveled literally all over the world, and we're lucky to have him here. He's on what is that building?
It's the Hot Hive next to the City Bar.
It's the.
I'm
that what it is?
shocked. I
It's
have
on
no
the-
idea.
It's on the
I defer
east
to her.
side of City Bar, the big tall
Oh,
building.
the Chrome Panther thing?
No,
No,
the Chrome
the-
Panther thing, that's Bacon.
Okay.
His
Talk
is
about him in a
it's a like profile, kind of side profile
Oh,
of a
of
woman. A blue
yeah.
background.
Yep.
Yep. I know
Yeah.
which one now.
So
Yeah.
portrait though. But yeah, he's from LA. Lives in
Yeah,
LA?
he
Yep.
he's originally from Korea. He moved over because
Wow.
of his mural career blowing up.
Really?
Moved over to
Wow.
LA about 3 years ago.
Neat.
So there's two.
And then just
three.
on the other side
yeah,
then of
we
City
mentioned-
Bar.
Yeah, we mentioned
Bacon.
Bacon.
Yeah, and Bacon's from Toronto. And the crazy thing about his mural is it's two Chrome Panthers. And he had a reference for one of them, and he made up the chrome for the other one.
Oh my gosh.
And as an
Wow.
artist, I said, you broke my brain.
What breaks my brain as not an artist. Wow.
Like I could kind of make up a panther like normal shading, but chrome's like a whole different
it
thing.
looks like a bunch of
Well, there's really
mirrors basically on
there's
it.
no room for error when it comes to chrome.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta be spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Can't
And
hide.
he for me, I mean, I know that his history is very much entrenched in graffiti lettering culture.
Yeah.
I like that he still has relationships with a lot of graffiti crews, and he will actually hire them to assist him on
neat.
some of his works, just to show that, hey, there's another world out here that you can make money with, and people are seeking. And those panthers, for me, I see a lot of the style of lettering being applied to his technique in that chrome, and just the shapes that are used, and his process as well.
We then have Cherie Nelson. She's done something it's called The Living Room. It's a salon boutique here in town. And she's done
And
some
that's the
things on the
backside of that.
inside. Yeah. Yeah, it's the backside of the building, of
Yep.
expansive kind of floral.
Her use
Mural.
of space this year is pretty cool, because she has
It's multi-level,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
a lower level,
Yeah.
and then it goes back about 25 feet, and then she's got a second story that she's painting on and having all that translate. And yeah, it's a phenomenal piece. And to watch her style evolve from 2020, I know she's going back a little bit further, but to see that to now, and this is her largest one to date.
Oh, wow.
Really, really cool. And it's just she's so bubbly and lovely, and you see that come through her pieces so much.
It does look just like a happy piece.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cherie's a local artist to Great Falls and started her first mural after Cameron's workshop the first year of the Mural Festival.
Wow.
So she's got a few pieces throughout town, which is really cool, and has a little bit more, definitely a different style, and it continues to evolve. I really like the flowers this year on the living room. So
Yeah, it's really pretty. And it's on the inside, too. Part of the inside of the building has some of her painting as well. At least when I
Did
went
not
in there
know.
to get footage of it last week, they said, oh, she did the work inside here, too.
She was
Cool.
commissioned a
Okay.
few years back to do that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just
And she
now
also-
So that's a
flows outside,
natural connection then to that
Yeah.
building.
And then last year she also did the Quetzal bird. I think I pronounced that right. Quetzal.
Sure.
too. Sure.
yeah,
Yeah. We
yes.
believe you. Go with it.
Back to that
She painted
line.
a bird.
Yeah. You're the expert. Yeah.
By
Own
the
it and
by
just
the
say it.
bank. I don't know what intersection that is.
Yeah.
But by the bank, and it was really tall as well. And that was her first time on a lift, and
Oh, wow.
she was a little nervous. And I
can
drove that
imagine.
lift this year, and that lift is really. I've driven a lot of scissors and booms, but that one I feel like the controls are backwards. Like,
Oh,
like
I was fine with it.
yeah, whatever. Yeah, jerk.
Yeah.
Again, you get that look again.
It's
like,
slow,
yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. Then moving down behind the Newberry is Senta. Am I saying that
Senta,
correctly?
yeah.
Okay. And his was Native American dancer. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've seen this one.
No. I went. It was fun. I went and earlier
Well-
last week and this week went around and hunted all of them down.
So, listeners, just so you're aware, Shannon gets out to do all the fun stuff because that's her job, and I stay here and develop agendas and analyze financials and readjust budgets.
What are you
That's
talking
my
about? That
thing.
sounds so fun.
So don't think I don't get engaged with the community. I just haven't gotten out yet. She gets to see everything.
But you got to go to the artist reception.
did.
I didn't get to go to that
because
so.
that was epic.
Yeah.
I love
You
that.
just did something today with coffee,
well,
right?
yeah.
She did
Okay.
go out twice today.
Boo
coffee.
hoo.
To the board meeting and from the board meeting.
She had to fuel up before and after.
Yeah, that's
Exciting
times.
times.
I had to get my energy
Exciting
up
times.
for
Yeah.
this. So Senta did a Native American dancer last night at the artist reception. He did a bear.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Oh, those were the ones the pictures you were showing me.
yeah,
Yeah.
And the head of our economic development authority and I were talking. We are home to Western Art Week, the Western art capital of the world, for 1 week in March. And there's an artist
August.
that, and well, August is ArtsFest.
Yes.
But in March, DG House is an artist that I've followed for quite a while, and it had the same kind of feel. And Brett said the same thing last night. He's like, oh, it feels a little more modern and cooler DG Housey. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if he's going to bid on it. So I asked him this morning at the board meeting. He's like, yeah, I bid on it, but I let Sue have it because I didn't think Sue was going to stop. But yeah, it
It's
was
a fierce bidding war for that one.
So I got to see the
Nice.
bear. I can't wait to see the dancer. So.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
other murals am I missing out on?
Cameron
Clearly
did,
all of them.
yeah.
Yeah, Cameron's
Cameron
on the back of Speaking Socially,
Mhm.
actually, and Wiesla Bacon, he did the back garage door.
Roll
Oh,
up
the
door.
garage
Yeah.
door for
Yeah.
that one as well. Yep. Mm-hmm. And Cameron's is it's very colorful. I like that one. He has a lot of color in his, and his was a profile as well, correct?
Yeah, another face.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's his wife. It's
Oh,
a very heartfelt mural. It's got actually a picture of his house in San Francisco in the mural.
wow.
Yeah.
That's really personal.
And some beeper code
Yeah.
for like beepers back in the day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I was like,
Typing,
what?
yeah,
Are we?
typing
Yeah.
code.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to explain it to me too. I had no idea
I
what
was
he was
like,
talking about. I'm like,
This is some inside artist
yeah.
thing. I don't.
I
Yeah.
That
know
must be
text
like an
shorthand.
artist term.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paper code.
Beeper code, yeah.
I was just gonna
numbers
play
and-
along
yeah.
like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're aging ourselves here.
Yeah.
I remember.
I only
beepers.
remember
I just,
hello.
Yeah.
I only
Yeah.
remember how to do hello.
I know text shorthand. I don't know anything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we missing anybody? Trying to think.
I sure hope
Oh
not.
man, I feel like I'm
That's
I'm trying to
where you're
run-
really on the
and,
line.
and I'm
Yeah.
like I'm running around to every single wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked
So-
about the eyes, the panthers. We talked about royal dongs. We talked about Cherie's. We talked about Senta's. Cameron's. Yours.
okay, there's
Luis and John.
Yeah, Louis.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course, of course, of course. Yeah, they worked on
Lewis-
one kind of in
Lewis.
tandem.
two
yeah.
different things on the same.
Yes, so
or they're
it's
on the same wall though, right?
Louis Still Smoking
Yes.
and John Pepion. Yep, they're on the
Yep.
same wall in the alley there between Perkins and Allure Aesthetics. Mm-hmm.
There, maybe this is the dancer. A lot of
No,
Nope, not the dancer. This
No,
is
this
I'm
is
gonna-
Miss Black.
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm starting with a new
Okay,
thought.
you're going-
Sorry,
Okay.
I should have guided that
Okay.
a little bit more.
Foot mouth
we'll
right now.
we'll
What
just be
I'm-
quiet and listen. Yeah.
What I was seeing on some of the social media posts is like a lot of colored shading. It looks like clouds billowing. Is that what the dancer was? Is that one, or is that a new
Senta,
mural?
are you talking about
That's
Senta's?
probably Cameron's.
Okay.
Or maybe Bacon's. I don't know.
Well-
Bacon did a flower. This kind of yellows.
Yes,
The yellow
that's
Yeah.
the one.
That's Bacon's on the roll-up door. For
Okay.
Speaking Socially.
I saw that, and it's just really, I felt mysterious.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
Like you look at it, and there's layers in
Mhm.
there, and you're like, ooh, there's something hiding behind.
It's a bacon George O'Keeffe blend. You know, super zoomed in.
There you go.
And,
So yeah, he
yeah.
does a lot of flowers. I actually have. I'm bragging, but I have one of his canvases in my living room.
Big shot.
Ooh.
Of
Is
one
it?
of those
Nice.
kind of abstracty flowers, but like one thing that I found out on this trip is he grows his own flowers. I thought,
Oh.
are you? So he's been doing this thing lately where he backlights the flowers with a light behind it to get this really
Ooh.
glowy look to it.
Yeah.
And he's growing the flowers. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
the
It's
whole
really organic,
experience is
authentic.
his.
Yeah. Wow.
So, is it normal for mural artists to do canvases?
It depends on the artist.
Yeah.
Completely.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel
'Cause-
like we should go back to like Lewis and John.
Oh,
yeah,
piece.
that
Yeah.
one's. Mhm. And
Sure,
John, and
we
John,
can do whatever you
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
And John Pepion's a well-known artist around here. I know him from, oh gosh, the word's escaping me now.
Native.
The type of art on top of ledger,
Ledger
art.
art.
Thank
Yep.
you. Yeah, he has some. I know my aunt and uncle who live in California purchased one of his ledger art pieces here from Paris Gibson Square Museum of Art
Oh.
years ago, and so I've followed him in the sense of the ledger artwork before.
Same here.
Yeah.
I just think his art is cool.
It is really
Yes.
neat.
So keep to.
So
Take the-
they're both somewhat local,
Mm-hmm.
and coming in that's half the fun of coming into these is you get to meet new people
Mm-hmm.
and to be around them and spend time with them. They were great guys, and like I got to show them how to use a sprayer. They're like,
Yeah.
I've never had the opportunity. I've seen them, and that's I kind of tend to be the the one that talks sprayer to everybody. But
The little bit of the
yeah,
teacher.
yeah.
Weird.
Sprayer evangelist.
Yeah, so they literally like ripped it out of my hand. They're like, "Can we finish, please? Can we do your job for you? This is so cool." But yeah, getting to know them was awesome, and they talked about doing the traditional Native American artwork, and then also representing like modern day tribe and woman of Miss Blackfeet.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what the one that Lewis painted was. Miss
Yeah, they
Blackfeet.
painted together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat.
Do either of you know? Because I'm going to make this claim, and then hopefully somebody will correct me. I don't think
the
they've
normal style.
I don't think they've done a ton of murals before. I saw the one they did in Heart Butte, which is absolutely stunning. But as we've said, we've known John to be that ledger artist, a little bit different format for artwork, and then for them to be able to do murals, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was surprised and excited to see what he would come up with for the mural.
So I'm going to make the claim because these two are just looking at me like they're not sure.
Lewis showed me some of his stuff that's around north of here.
Yeah, I think Lewis has done some.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was one really cool one that he attached plywood to the building, so he could get rid of the siding texture.
Gotcha.
And because I'm like, dude, how did you get rid of the siding texture?
Like, put
I'm
a
like,
different
did
one on.
you paint? Like, did you really just
That many
paint the
layers?
siding and make it go away? And he's like, no, that's
a trick.
plywood. I put that up there.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean those are big name artists for us here locally. So it's exciting to have their work on a side of a building as well.
Not that you guys aren't big name artists.
And I said locally.
Yeah. We, as no experts on a lot of things, including
Most
art,
things.
get super excited because we're getting exposed to things we normally wouldn't here because of the talent that is being brought in when Cameron curates these things for us, which is absolutely amazing. Now, without saying your own artwork, you've seen a lot of the murals that have been created this year and historically. Do you have a favorite mural in Great Falls that isn't your own?
You can
Dead
say your own if you want.
Phasm looks like he just checked out mentally,
Yeah.
like, I'm not even answering
know
this
what to say
question.
then. You don't
Maybe
wanna
it's one
play
of those
favorites.
questions that stupid people ask, and he's like, how do
like,
I
don't
properly say
ask
this
these
to this
things.
Well,
one?
you just said the whole like earlier. You mentioned like the
You don't wanna
rivalry
play
thing,
favorites
and I'm like,
here.
I'm not playing
Like,
favorites
yeah.
here. There's
So get me in
yeah,
trouble if I mention something.
Like, like they're all really good. And
Yeah, it's
Cameron's
also different.
brought
Yeah,
in
it is a lot.
like
It's
phenomenal talent.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely phenomenal.
Well, and it is
talent.
neat because they are so each one is very unique in its style and things like that. So you're getting all kinds of different kinds of work.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I like honestly. Okay, so I really liked the one that Cameron did last year, not by the bank, and it was right next. It was between mine and Cherie's,
Yep.
and I just keep looking at it. Like last year, I didn't even. I don't think I noticed it as much last year, and then I was looking at it again this year, and I'm like, the colors, all the stuff that's happening in it.
and then tracking these people and seeing their work, like that was one of the first times that I saw some of the elements that have continued through this year kind of appear.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
You're talking about in Cameron's artwork.
in Cameron's
Yeah,
artwork and
yeah,
seeing how that style has
shapes.
changed and the shapes and the colors and the way that he's doing some of that stuff. So like asking us to pick a favorite because we're so
picking a
deep
favorite
in like
child, yeah.
understanding the process and knowing the artists that we talk to and then meeting new ones and learning from each other that some of that's
Not
just,
a fair question.
right. It's
Well,
so hard
it's
to
like-
pick because we're so deep in like
It's like the questions we get when people come here. If you only had one thing you could do in this town, what would it be? And it's like, that's not a fair question.
No, and it's also subjective too, right?
Well,
Like,
that's
it's-
true.
Yeah,
Probably go have a beer.
it's always Rebecca's go-to. So obviously, we've established that we are not artists at all, but very much appreciate the art that's done here. Obviously, everyone has different likings or things they're drawn to, but is there something, just as an observer of these murals of street art, that you as an artist want me to pay attention to or notice or
great
look
question.
at about these works that maybe are like, as someone who is an artist?
I mean, I can stare at them for forever and still notice new things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the joys of my clear coating job.
You
is
get to
like,
see a lot.
I get to be at every point in the boom lift and everything up close to these people's work, and I get to assess, like, because I kind of watch them paint it, but I'm running around everywhere.
Yeah.
I get to really study them up close and personal. So there's tons of stuff.
You
packed
see
in
new
there.
things
I mean,
every time.
they're obsessing over something for a week, and for somebody to put that amount of time constantly working, there's a ton of stuff there to really observe. Yeah.
No.
For me, art is about wonder and kind of awe, and so not to like talk bad about a historic mural or a mural that represents your community. But a lot of times I get people to ask me to paint a mural that is like selfieable, or I want somebody to like tag my business in it or something like that. And then they want me to do something that has to do with their business. And I say, you can't get that. You have to do something that's out of the box and make somebody either go, those are like really cool colors and shapes, and that would be really cool behind me, or just that interest in like, why would they paint that here? Like, and honestly, a lot of
I've had
times
those questions.
but the business owner is scared of it until they see it happen, and then the other business owners are like, I want some of that,
They have to step out of the box a little bit, or for them, take a brave step in the unknown of what's going to be created.
Yeah, and when you have a town or a business that you do a mural of what they think they're about, it goes unnoticed because it's the obvious choice.
Yeah.
So when and you're like, why would you paint a blue macaw in Great Falls? Like, I was in Guatemala, and they asked, like, are there a lot of tigers in Modesto, California?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Sure.
Yeah. We lie on this podcast.
We make claims and we own them. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure
We
there's some.
challenge people to show up and say we're wrong.
Yeah. And I like tropical things. I like 80s colors. And so that's why I do that kind of art, is I want people just to have that vibe of,
stop, take a second look at it. It's
yeah,
not what
like,
they're
wait,
expecting.
Why
Yeah.
is that here?
And some of the, like, when I go and talk to committees or city officials, and because they're like, hey, we heard that people that paint murals.
Yeah.
And when I start doing that, it's typically the elder generation that wants a spark. They don't know how to do it, and they're like, well, we want to tell the history of the town. And you're like, but trusting the artist. I see them come back with, like, we're a town about trains. Trains have been our history. I'm like, trains, dude? You want trains? Like, you want trains on a wall?
Not that there's anything wrong with trains, but
then
it's
but then to see a concept with an artist come out and you're like, that is totally a train mural, but not the way I would have ever pictured that.
Yeah.
And to spice it up and make it interesting to someone that's also from there and tells their story, but also someone that can stroll into town and it's emotionally accessible to them as well.
I think what's really fun is I used to work downtown between Kellergeist and the Quilt Shop. And there's two very large format murals down there, one by Pond Lord and one by Da Flamingo.
Yep.
I knew the names. I just didn't know about the pronunciation, so I'm glad I hit it. And when we first got Pond Lord's beautiful woman with the crown, just the debate of, is this Mother Nature? Is this a female Jesus? Is this what is this? And then what relevance does the fox have in the whole
What
picture?
does it say?
Yep.
But I think and then the colors of it are just interesting, and it causes, like you said, Phasm, to be able to stand there and just stare at that and go, what all is going on here? And it's just stunning and beautiful, and it evokes those thought processes. The one on the other opposite side, I have heard so many people go, what? And I'm like, you can't see just, I mean, it is a black wall with some orange. Like there's not a whole bunch of color there, but the lighting that it takes to have that reflection of whether is it an oncoming train, is it a basement where there's a wood stove,
You
and
got it right there.
just the elements while it was being created. I'm like, and of course, what we want to see isn't necessarily what we should get. And I think that's a really important thing, because we had saw what some of the artists have done, you know, follow them on Instagram, like, oh, maybe we'll get a cow.
Well,
We didn't get a cow.
And what's so funny is like, I hear all the time like, oh, I don't really like that one, or like your personal preference.
Right.
And then, you know, I'm like, oh, is that mural okay? Whatever. And then somebody comes along and like, that one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, I love that one. You're like, all right, fine.
Okay,
I
great.
need to
Yeah.
I need to loosen up. But yeah, the storytelling in both of those is it's whatever you want it to be.
Well,
You
and I
know?
think it
Yeah.
creates that. And, you know, I've visited with artists in the past where they won't tell you the inspiration behind it. They want you to create your own feelings, your own thoughts. They don't want to tell you what you should see. They want you to see what you see.
Well, it's probably interesting from an artist's perspective too, to then be like, okay, what are you actually seeing? Is it anything what I was seeing? What shape is this taking?
And then you look at the same mural and you're like, we're looking at this one, right?
Yeah. Going back to like the chrome thing, I painted a Chevy Bel Air kind of front bumper thing in my
fun.
hometown. They're big on classic cars there. And you know, that was amazing that Bacon made that chrome part up, because I had painted this chrome bumper, and then probably like 2 weeks later somebody said, that's really cool how you got the reflection of the headlight in the bumper. And I was like, I did? Because when I'm painting chrome from a photo, I'm painting exactly what I see, and sometimes I'm not really even thinking about what it is. I'm
that's
looking
the
at the light.
reflection there.
Yeah, the
this
light
is
in the
what it
dark,
is.
and I didn't even know it was there. I had to go back and I was like, yeah, that is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I did that.
do that.
That's exactly what I intended.
Meant it. I totally meant it.
Yeah. Perfect. Came together wonderfully. Yeah.
So, you get to hang out in the community for a little bit. You're done. You've got a lot more work to do.
Yeah, I'm really busy at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're always busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
don't
was
lie.
telling you on the
You
way
said it-
here, I'm like, dude, I wake up and I'm like trying to get something done, and then it's just like, well, that's not the plan anymore.
5
Yeah.
phone calls. Yeah.
Like coming on our podcast
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, exactly.
So, other than hanging out with tourism and doing a podcast, what are some of the other things you've gotten to do while you've been in Great Falls?
Scooter gang.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
A bunch of us
Fun.
got I think we had almost everybody.
On scooters at night.
Yeah.
I
during-
kind of wish I could have
down
just
the
been
river
like
walk.
on
Oh,
the, on
that's
the walk
awesome.
there watching you
Yeah.
all
And
coming.
And we were playing 80s music as we were
Love
Yeah.
it.
So
And
That
it
sounds
was-
pretty
yeah.
epic.
It
Yeah.
does sound fun.
Yeah, like
That's
we got
fantastic.
some photos and just like the red lighting of the taillights and
Yeah.
stuff. It looks like like Stranger Things kind of stuff. Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
really cool. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Both plan to come back eventually if you're invited.
If they have me.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll invite you, even
Yeah.
if you don't get invited otherwise. Please come
know.
back. Yes.
Yeah.
I have zero pull with Cameron, but we'll tell him.
It's okay. We can make it happen somehow. Yeah. Okay. And if you're coming here what were there? A total of 9 murals?
Cameron said 10.
10.
Okay.
Oh, I think maybe Bacon's one on the back door wasn't
like sometimes
initially
you get
planned
these
or
bonus
something.
walls.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was a
And
bonus.
we did a workshop with the community.
Yes, on the back of the State
Yep.
Farm office there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had a little shout out here. I think a lot of the Paris Gibson people were in there, and said, I think Sarah's her name.
Yeah.
So she was in the workshop, and then some of her students, both current and former, were in the workshop, which was awesome.
That's awesome.
They had so many good questions, and we painted the area code.
Mm-hmm. 406.
Yep, 406 after an informative lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Did
think
you-
back to
did you do
educational
that?
times, right?
Did you lead the lecture, former teacher?
Cameron led that. I
Okay.
kind of assisted a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we went outside and painted on the garage door. It was so
It was
so
really.
hot.
I was
And it
wandering
was-
around
and
that.
it was-
That was hot.
It's
like the
epically
paint
hot
was
right
literally like boiling
Oh my gosh.
on the door.
Just getting
'cause
some
it was full
bubbles on
sun.
it.
Yeah, it was so hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. So that's community wall
Mm-hmm.
that they did, and then somebody popped up to be in the workshop and meet us, who's an artist in Montana. Griffin is his name, Jopsay on Instagram. He, popped in to say hi and brought paint with him, and then we went through the proper channels. And
Dang it.
yeah,
Did that end up going on the other, like the
that
front
was on
side?
that was on the other garage door.
Yes. Okay.
It almost went on the other side.
Yeah.
But we,
But stupid proper
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
proper channel. Yeah, we caught that in time. So he painted that, and his work's phenomenal. We kind of looked at his Instagram. We're like, yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
something like that, because he's got a lot of different things. But yeah, just for somebody to pop up and say hi and meet everybody, knowing that this is going on, and
That's
then
cool.
like, hey, you brought paint? Yeah, like, you want to paint? Like, what?
Sure.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's
sometimes
great.
it happens like that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great to know him. I hope that he's somebody that we continue to keep in contact with. Yeah.
So we got
Yeah,
some
some more locals.
bonus
Yeah,
artwork
yeah,
this time
yep.
around. Add that to the collections that have already happened. There's a lot to see. And of course, we've got some great coffee shops, restaurants, businesses. You can go in downtown, just make a whole day out of wandering around to see all the different artwork going in and out of our businesses here.
And if you don't want to use your feet, you can rent a scooter.
There are the scooters,
Yeah.
which is
You
a
can
great
get
way
to
to get
every
around.
mural.
Absolutely. It's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Wear a helmet is all I'm going to say. Some
I don't
people
think
need
I've
that.
ever seen someone wearing them, but I'm sure it's in the fine print that you sign when you
Probably should.
sign up for one of those. Yeah.
Thank you both for being on our podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank
Especially
you.
during
Thank
your
you.
crazy time, and you're going
Yeah.
into even more crazy time right
It's
now.
ramping up.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's sleep. Yeah.
We're keeping you inside during the hottest part of the day right
Yeah,
now.
that's
at
fine.
least.
It's-
Yeah.
I'm going to clear coat Phasm's wall here after
Okay.
this, so it'll be in the shade now. So we're good.
Perfect. Perfect. To delay that just a bit.
Mhm.
Yep.
And you're always welcome, listeners, to stop by 15 Overlook Drive, get the addresses for all of the artwork. There is a new app available for all the art in our community. We are not Montana's base camp for art and adventure for nothing. There's a reason why, and we can't wait to show it to you. So until we see your bright, smiling, happy, beautiful face here in our community, we hope you are creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you are.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town. Damn, that felt good.